Hi, I'm Leanne Lamar, and I'm going to be talking about the circadian cycle and chronotherapy and how it plays in the role of treatment of different biological disorders. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to give you a brief introduction about what this journal article was about. I'll talk about how chronotherapy can be used in biological disorders, the development and the delivery of these chronotherapeutics, the connections between the circadian rhythm and the biological disorders, the strengths and weaknesses or limitations of this journal article, how it relates to this class, and a conclusion so you can remember everything. So let's go. Okay, so this journal article related the circadian rhythm with chronotherapy. It uses the body's natural biological clock to improve treatment. The CDS aims to treat disorders by understanding the rhythms of the disorders. So just like our bodies have a circadian rhythm, certain disorders also have a circadian rhythm. So knowing this, we can use chronotherapeutics based on the body's master clock to line up with the biology's clock, and it can improve treatment time. And so how chronotherapy can be used in biological disorders: it can be used in cardiovascular disease, arthritis, sleep disorders, ulcers, hypercholesterol, diabetes, acute pain, many others. Even recently, they've now been introduced into anti-cancer. So that's cool. But basically, all of these disorders, they all have a peak and a low point in the disease. And knowing the peak and the low point, or the circadian rhythm of the disease, enables us to optimize treatment. So take cardiovascular disease for an example. At night when you're sleeping, your blood pressure is not very high, it's very low and calm. But then when you wake up in the morning, it shoots up so you can get started and get ready to go on with your day. And then in the middle of the day when you're working your hardest is normally when your blood pressure is at its highest. And so knowing the times of when your blood pressure is going to be high or knowing when it's going to be low, you can there's a correlation between when strokes or heart attack is most likely to occur. And so if you know when this is going to happen, you can take medication during the specific times, and instead of just hoping that it's the right time, you can actually, using chronotherapy can actually maximize the drug's effects because you're taking them at the proper time. And so these drugs, they're special because they have a barrier and a core, and the barrier is made of polymer and the core is surrounded by a polymetric dissociation layer. And so this allows for a lag time to happen. And the lag is controlled by a plug, which is commonly made out of hydrophilic polymer. And the lag time varies depending on how thick or thin the coating is. So if you have a really thick coating, you can say, for instance, your peak is at night when you're sleeping with your disease. Well, no one is going to want to wake up in the middle of the night to take a pill to have to go back to sleep. So what can happen is that they can take a chronotherapeutic drug the chronotherapeutic drug before they go to bed, and hours later, after the dissociation happens, then the core is released from the drug, and so then the drug gets released, and so that's when it takes place. So it's convenient for you, but it's also at the optimal time for your body to that it needs that drug. And so the article's strengths and limitations. The article had a lot of resources to help further on study of this topic. It was very detailed in how the process of chronotherapy could be used to speed up treatment. And it was also really clear in the connection between our body's circadian rhythms and biological disorders and their circadian rhythms and how they overlap each other. However, some limitations that this article presented was a lack of evidence. Where they had a lot of research where you could further on study, there was not a lot of research presented in this journal article. It was really just a bunch of facts and numbers thrown at you saying this is what it is, with no evidence or experiments to back up where these numbers came from. And so how are you supposed to know if this is reliable if you have if you don't know how they did their experiments or where they're even getting this information from? It was a long journal article, and it had one table and one graph. And the tables and graphs were very, very vague and were not very clear in demonstrating what was going on in these processes, what stuff really looked like, and what was actually being presented to you. How it relates to our class? Well, it related really good with our guest speaker from India when he came. Almost everything he said was presented in this journal article. And so it really related to our chapter on sleep. And combining the journal article with the lecture we had in class was really, really useful in understanding what all is going on and understand circadian rhythms and the importance of them. So, what to remember is that using the body's natural circadian rhythm, we can reduce treatment time with the use of chronotherapy. Chronotherapy uses a special class of drugs that gets released at an optimal time to maximize the drug's effectiveness. And understanding how biological disorders relate to the circadian rhythms can help us create a customized drug routine to maximize effectiveness and cut treatment time altogether. And now you know about circadian cycles and chronotherapy.